this is the problem you have when you run a really good company and you get really focused for a year, is you go from a storm to a cash surplus and you start complaining because I liked seeing cash around. I got used to making cash. And
am I nuts?
We're still figuring out a couple of things. It's only been a year, and we only have 25 grand sitting around, and I just had a baby and I went AWOL for 2 weeks. My company practically ran itself. I'm booked up till August. Wah, wah, wah. What's wrong with my business, Shawn?
Oh man, when you say it, I sound like a complete buffoon.
Yeah. No.
Hey everybody, Shawn Van Dyke here, author of Profit First for Contractors. What you're going to watch in the rest of this video is a small section of a coaching call that I had with one of my long-term clients, BJ Mater of American Spirit Custom Builders. And BJ was experiencing some stress that comes from making a profit. Now, I know that this sounds a little bit crazy, but once you go from not running a profitable business to running a very profitable business and you start being able to pay your bills in cash, well, this is a new habit, and sometimes, even though those habits are good, new habits and new behaviors can cause you to feel a little bit nervous. So watch the rest of this video and you'll see how we kind of work through that new habit, how we got rid of some old habits, and how that new habit was causing BJ a little bit of stress. Go to ProfitFirstContractor.com to learn more about how you can implement Profit First for Contractors in your construction business.
There's $50K in tax in my tax and profit account.
Okay.
We've used $15,000 to pay off our credit cards because I think we forgot that those had to be paid off. And with Bree out of town, like I'm literally blind, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'm blind in the water. What
you're experiencing is paying bills with cash that you haven't been able to do before. Yeah, it's like you like to see the money adding up, but then some stuff happens and the money goes down. But that's because it's cash sitting there in the bank.
And that's what it's supposed to do, right?
That's exactly what it's for. This next year in 2019, if you call me and say, I forgot I had $15,000 in credit cards, I'm going to fly out there and smack you around and say, remember what I said 6 months ago, you got to look at your expenses every month. When you look at your expenses every month, you can't build up to a $15,000 credit card bill.
And so basically, I just wanted to make you aware to hold myself accountable. No, I've been shooting for 9% on taxes, and I've been shooting for 6% in the profit.
Okay.
So I have an abundance of cash flow, right? But this is what I'm nervous about. I don't like touching it.
Well, hold on. We're touching it to pay for exactly what it's set aside for taxes.
Yeah, but what about all the surplus?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so we take $10,000 from 35, that's $25,000, and the company has $25,000. But what I'm pissed off about, or what I'm nervous about, I feel like I'm heading in the wrong direction every time I have to pull funds out of there. Because if I'm not operating a correct system, if the system is correct, I shouldn't have to pull out of that, correct?
Did you pull 15% out every time?
Every single check I've gotten for the last year, starting January 1 of last year, has gone into that account.
Okay. And
it's gone to other emergencies.
Well, that's where we know where the money's going. It'd be one thing if you said, hey, I got $10,000 in taxes and I've only got $10,000 set aside, meaning, okay, well, at least we covered your taxes. You didn't make any profit, but you've got 5% in profit. The credit card bill was what it was. We got to, get a hold of that. But the $35,000 that was left in there before we took any taxes out, that's 7%. And you took 2% out. So net profit after taxes is 5%. Dude, a year ago, you were at zero.
Negative.
How's
that negative?
Negative how much? Negative 3%?
Negative $8,000, and our total revenue was.
So that's 3%. So you went from negative 3% to positive 5% after taxes.
Yeah, I know we're moving in the right direction.
Moving? You've moved.
How are you a genius?
Okay, so here's what it sounds like on my side. Shawn, I had $50,000 in my account and I got really comfortable and I like that number. Then I got hit with a credit card bill and I paid for it in cash in a split second. I've got a tax bill that I owe that I'll pay for in cash, and I'm still left with about 4% of my profit. When I add that to the negative 3%, which was probably even higher, I don't like that, Shawn. That stresses me out because I like seeing $50,000. And this is the problem. This is the problem you have when you run a really good company and you get really focused for a year is you go from a storm to a cash surplus and you start complaining because I like seeing cash around. I got used to making cash. And
am I nuts?
We're still figuring out a couple of things. It's only been a year and we only have 25 grand sitting around, and I just had a baby and I went AWOL for 2 weeks. My company practically ran itself. I'm booked up till August. Wah, wah, wah. What's wrong with my business, Shawn?
Oh man, when you say it, I sound like a complete buffoon.
Yeah. What you're experiencing is paying bills with cash that you haven't been able to do before. Yeah, it's like you like to see the money adding up, but then some stuff happens and the money goes down. But that's because it's cash sitting there in the bank.
And that's what it's supposed to do, right?
That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah. I do what I do is whatever you say. I'll do that and then I'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, what I would rather you do is have two accounts, a profit account and a tax account. Yes. And when we every check that we get or when we do our disbursements, take 10% of our income and put it into the profit account, take 5% and put it in the tax account. Same amount of money you're pulling out now. That way you can see the profit account grow, big time, and we don't want to touch that.
Touch that one bit. Right?
Yeah.